Hey guys, welcome back to Food, Booze, and Friends. I'm Brandon, and I'm back with my boy, Chef Lee. Thank you for coming back on.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Today, Chef Lee is going to teach us the basic knife skills for cooking in the kitchen. He's going to show you what the best knives are to use and why. He's going to go through some tips on how to slice, dice, and chop things up.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lee, take it away.
All right. Not every knife can be used the same exact way. For example, this is obviously a carving knife, so I can't use this to do some chopping, cutting up vegetables and stuff like that. This would be only used for literally carving, since it has the serrated blade and a little force at the top, obviously for picking up the meat. Then we have something that's usually found in a lot of Asian markets. This one's made in Thailand. Wooden handle, stainless steel, cheap, affordable, but also lasts very long in the kitchen compared to like a fiberware, something you can find like at a Target, Walmart, and stuff like that. My personal knife is a high carbon steel chef knife, 8 inches, full tang all the way through. The only difference with these two, obviously, is also the shape. This one's called a nakiri, just because it's got a square top and also there's no point. One is made out of wood, one's made with ceramic. So this one has a full tang, which means that the metal of the knife is made all the way through, as opposed to this one here where it stops like right about quarter of the way there. And also just the weight distribution is different. So with my chef knife, pretty equal balance, boom. And then this one, not really able to balance as much just because of all the weight is on the knife there. So that does play a factor in how much weight distribution is being added to when you're cutting things. We're gonna peel out carrots. A lot of times people always go this way. Definitely works too. My personal experience when I did this when I was learning in the kitchen, I would sometimes hit my fingers. So best way to do it, boom, hold it up against the cutting board, start from the top, drag it down, rotate. So I'm gonna show the difference of like when it comes to chopping. So we're gonna make these into little, we're gonna julienne the carrots first. Cut off the top, cut the bottom, then we're gonna cut it in half. And I'm just gonna show how different this knife is compared to this, my chef knife. The way to hold your knife is pinching it right by the handle, guards your fingers. A lot of inexperienced cooks, they tend to usually hold it like this, boom. So when you're cutting, like if I'm trying to cut this and people get a full grip on the handle like that, now I have a higher chance not getting a precise cut. If my hand slips, the vegetable slips, I have a chance to cut myself, which has happened to me in the past. Use your 2 fingers, pinch it right at the handle, and also put your finger right onto the vegetable and put some weight on it so it doesn't move. Knuckle is your guard, so you never want to cut anything where the fingertips are exposed, just in case you cut your fingertips off. Put your finger planted right into it, start from the tip, draw it forward, chop. Same thing, I'm gonna show different cutting styles. So we're gonna julienne it. So julienne it is when it's long slices, long cuts. Like if you're gonna do a stir fry, stuff like that. So I'm gonna go from here. A lot of times when people cut, they tend to just press down. Kitchen, you wanna be a little bit more precise. You're cutting it, you wanna go in like a rocking motion. So from here. Now with my knife, I'll do the same thing. Show the difference. So with this one, since it has the tip, I'm able to rock with it. So a lot of times when you're chopping, you can go. Now these are julienne, so they're long slices, or we can turn them into fine dice. Even, same thing, always hold the handle like this, hands as your guard, and always apply pressure onto it so it doesn't move. Same thing, boom. The way I like to personally cut bell peppers, I put the top down, and right where it curves here, that's my guide to where I'm gonna cut it. So I'm gonna flip that over, head's completely flat, bam. And then we're trying to avoid cutting the white part because that's the very bitter part that we don't want included in any of our recipes. And with bell peppers, you can either cut skin side up, same motion. So we're gonna do the process of dragging the knife, draw it back, and just rock. Speed is not part of the game until you figure out how to properly use a knife. So when that comes along a little later, that's when you pick up speed. But it's nice and slow is fine. Another way to cut the bell peppers, flip it over to the other side, this is actually a little easier to cut when the flesh side is up. So, same thing, we're julienning this. Now this is where you can use the Nikiti knife for this, just because of the weight, and also because of the size of it. I'm gonna cut the end off. Boom. Helps also peel out the skin a lot faster. Cut the end off. Boom. That's one way to do it, or another way. Boom. Have it completely flat. Have the sharp side away from you. Press it straight down. There we go. Same thing. We're gonna just quickly chop it. Now, same thing with the kitty knife. I'm gonna try to rock it, but since the point isn't like my chef knife, it makes it a little bit harder. So you can just chop it this way. Bring it together. So we have that version right there. Then now I'm gonna do it with my personal knife. Cut it in half. I like to make a little bit more precise cuts, so I'm just gonna use the tip. Down. Turn that over.
Just the tip?
Just the tip, baby. Now same thing. You don't have to use, you can use the tip or the end of the knife. So the end definitely does help a little bit more because of the weight distribution. So if you know how to do it properly, it's the same thing. So the best way to cut an avocado, cut it from the top. So it's like that. And then roll the knife. Try to make it straight. We'll just watch your hands, nice and slow. And then try to line it up. Give it a little twist. Bam, and that's a beautiful avocado too. The best way to take that out, use the end of the knife. Boom, twist. And then cut this in half. Boom, same thing. Then we're gonna peel it. Peel the back. Hold it in your palm, like this. Hold the knife, use the weight of the knife, press it down gently, boom, and then hold that part, come back up. So you don't have to cut yourself. You don't have to do any sawing motion. This thing is very soft, so it doesn't require that much. From the cutting board. This is a bad example, but yeah.
Now you teach an expert level avocado cutting.
Let's do some fine chopping. Some good old green onions. As you can tell, now I can get much finer cuts compared to the other knife. Ultimate sharpness test, the tomato. So I'm gonna do a couple slices for topping for a burger. Same thing, start with the tip, draw it down. Boom. Now with the knife. Ooh, see the difference? Just that. So with my knife, I like to go back. Good old onion. Cut the top off. Put this in half. And one thing too, once you start cutting all the way through to the bottom of it, that's when it starts to technically bleed out. So all that water content here is going to come out, and that's what causes people to kind of cry. So we're going to do this a little fast. Chop it straight down the center. Now, peel that back. Cut it here, which works just as fine. If you want to make diced onions to make like with a sauce where you want to render down the vegetable, so it adds more flavor into depth. Make it as fine as I can. Use the knife, turn it over, keep it together, knuckles down, and I want to get fine cuts. So same thing, take your time. Cooking requires a lot of love. If you don't got no love, the food's not gonna taste any good. The rule for all knives, any type of knife really, never put it into the dishwasher machine. What that's gonna do is gonna dull it out. The chemicals in there is gonna damage the handle, but also when it's splashing around with all other metals that because a lot of times people just put it straight in there, swishing around, so it's gonna dull, chip the knife. Wash it, dry it right away. Because a lot of times some steels, like carbon steel, they tend to rust. So if I put this in the dishwasher, if I wash this and I just let it sit on the cutting board while it's still wet, it can become rusty, which and then will turn the knife dull, and that's no longer good to use. And so there's a few different methods, different ways to use a sharpening knife, sharpening stick. You don't want to make it flat. Can you see it? So you never want to make it flat like that, because then you're just rubbing against that. So you want to slightly turn, where you're essentially just having the blade resting onto the stick. And you hold the handle the same way, and make sure your fingers are not too high up there, because you don't want to slice your finger. And a lot of times you see professional chefs, they can go very fast, yes. But for the average person at home, take your time. And for me, I like to count how many times I'm sharpening each side. So for example, I'm gonna do 5 times one side. So you start from the end, draw it down, that's 1, 2, 3. Same thing with the other side. So same thing when it's on the other side, angle it instead of making it flat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another way I was also taught by another chef, same thing, but with this one, be careful because you don't want to chop into your cutting board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when you get real good, if you're cooking for your family every single night, then I would definitely say invest in a good knife. And they can range from anywhere from $60 to a couple $100, depending on what do you like to cook, what do you like to use it for. This one, it's called the Yes Chef. It was a gift to me. This one was about just $80. I have another knife at home that was called the Shun. That one was about $200, and that one I would only use when I was working at the restaurant. And that one was more practical because I was chopping up so many different things where I didn't have to worry about it losing its durability as much as I was using a $10, $15 knife. If I keep using a $10, $15 knife, every couple hours I'd be constantly sharpening it. And you don't want to always do that. So if you're at home, invest in a good knife. Williams Sonoma, Crate and Barrel, they actually do have pretty good standard knives, high quality knives. And then it doesn't have to also be Japanese either. Wusthof is a German steel company. Great knives, definitely good, all-purpose just as well. So if you don't want to spend just as much money, but also get the same amount of quality as a Japanese knife, a Wusthof is really good. Global is a really good knife. Yeah, that closes off today's episode. If you want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is FitStonerChef. Don't need to explain what all that is about, but check it out for yourself. I'm a personal trainer, chef on the side, and I'm also dabble in the cannabis industry. So check me out on Instagram. More content coming soon. So I hope to see you guys there. Thank you for having me. Next episode.